We've all been pretty worried about Bayonetta 3 and the content it might have because the trailers we got looked a little bit sanitized, like costumes were toned down potentially, maybe violence and gore was even toned down, but the release date has finally been announced, and Platinum Games put out a statement how the game will not be censored, but there's going to be an option where you can play with more dialed back costumes. I have a bunch of different things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So I initially found out about this situation on Twitter because of the release date. They announced that this game is finally releasing on October 28th. We have been waiting for years at this point, and hearing it release in October does have me a little bit worried because there are so many launches in October, but it's also launching on October 28th, and there's other releases on that day like the Resident Evil Village DLC and all of the additions to the base game, but also Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and only a few days before we have things like Gotham Knights coming out. So it is a little bit worrying to have all of these games released right around each other. I personally feel like we might even see some delays, maybe by a month with some titles. I'm hoping that Bayonetta 3 is going to actually release on October 28th. I'm sure that they wouldn't announce it now, only a couple of months out, if they weren't planning on hitting that date. But along with the release date, they also announced that Bayonetta 3 will include a special mode to censor lewd scenes so you can play in the living room without creating an awkward atmosphere. Going to this Go Nintendo article, it says Bayonetta is definitely one of the most risque Nintendo exclusive franchises, and Platinum Games is taking that into account by adding a naive angel mode to Bayonetta 3. When turned on, the mode will censor the scenes that show a bit more skin than some players would like to see. You can check out the mode in action here. Now, of course, lewdness is definitely one of the things that Bayonetta is known for. Now, obviously, I'm someone who will play this game without the censored mode on because Bayonetta has always been about sex appeal, gore, and over-the-top content. I think most people that play Bayonetta expect this type of content to be in the game. I would never ever toggle it on, but I'm all for options in the game. And as you can see, these are some of the changes that this mode will give us. As you can see, we're not even talking about drastic differences here. We're talking about a little bit of extra fabric in some places. If you look at Bayonetta here, of course, when her costume would fully be removed, it's just on. It's not like it's a different costume. And a lot of people are actually pretty happy with this, and I have to agree. I have always been for all options in games, and I will always stand by that. And in my opinion, this is a great compromise. First of all, the base game isn't censored, meaning we can see all of the lewd content in its full glory, and the default vision isn't hidden away. But for the people who might feel a little bit awkward playing a game like this around other people, or might simply want a more dialed back version of the game, this is their special for them. Of course, lots of people have joked online already that this is a game journalist mode, and I agree with that. Most journals will probably play with it on, but hey, that's their choice. I'm sure we'll still see a few journalists who are mad that they didn't just censor the game in general because these game journalists hate attractive women in games and hate this type of content, but I think that this is a great compromise. I'm also a bit surprised that this toned down mode isn't even really that censored. They didn't go censorship crazy here. You'd think since they're making a whole mode for it, maybe models would be changed so that their chests and their butts would be made smaller. Maybe the outfits show little to no skin, but that's really not the case here. In one example that we saw, there was really only fabric added to the bra area, and the character was still showing cleavage, and there's no changes to body proportions, so for a more covered up mode, they didn't take it way too far, which makes me respect them even more. I think that most people are going to be happy with this compromise, and this is what I like to see from companies, trying to find ways to give consumers options for their experiences, not backing us into a corner saying, if you want to play this game, you have to deal with these censored, toned down outfits and content. And of course, a lot of people are praising Platinum Games right now, and I 100% agree. I think that this is an absolutely fantastic compromise, even though I will not play with this censorship mode, and I don't think that it needs to be in the game. You know what? I think that they've done a good job trying to listen to consumers. At least it's there for the people who may want it. Scrolling down through one of these tweet threads, though, there's a lot of people who are very, very happy. It's called Naive Angel Mode, which that's just perfection. People saying things like they're calling it wife mode. Honestly, I think that it's pretty funny. People saying things like this is just an option to make it a little less awkward. I personally think the awkward excuse isn't something that I'm buying. I don't think that most people who purchase Bayonetta would go to someone's house and play Bayonetta if they were going to feel uncomfortable playing it in the first place, but it's okay. This is a great compromise, just like how River City Girls had two translations, one more faithful and another more quirky and less accurate. More games should strive for this. There definitely are some people here who don't think that it should be in the game at all and who are not happy about this mode existing. And again, while I will not use it, it's just more options for players, and it to me looks like Platinum Games is at least trying to make as many people happy as possible without removing content from their title. I also made a tweet myself, and people are agreeing, saying things like, and that's what companies like Sony should do. Instead of removing or censoring stuff, put an option in it for people to choose for themselves. This is great. I'm okay with it. I feel like it's a great compromise. Give the options to both groups. It seems like they've really made their consumers happy, and I'm glad that they have listened to their consumers with Bayonetta 3, because if this game was censored, I really don't think that it would be the same. I think a lot of people would have canceled pre-orders, not purchased it, and would have been very disappointed in this company. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.